Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. We're now delighted to be joined over the telephone this afternoon by His Excellency Ambassador Mohamad Ayoub, Minister Plenipotentiary Commercial. A very good afternoon to you, Your Excellency.
Good afternoon to you and to the viewers.
Thank you very much, sir, for your time. And let me start by asking you, Mr. Ambassador, the G20 countries are a very important group that have succeeded, in assuming the role of the World Economic Council. How do you see the admission of the African Union as part of the G20, and what does this mean, in your opinion?
This is an important step by the G20, thanks to India and China, who pressed very hard that the African Union should be a part and parcel of the G20 group. This gives a very important role, or an important role for the African continent, because there are many issues in question between Africa and the outer world regarding the climate change, regarding the debts, regarding the sustainable development goals, regarding the many economic factors which are hampering the economic development of African countries, especially after the Ukrainian-Russian war.
Indeed. This war, as you mentioned, Your Excellency, has of course played a critical role in balance and economic challenges all across the world. And in President Sisi's address today to the summit in New Delhi in India, he spoke about the need to face current challenges and to follow arrangements based on the UN as well as the international law, and the role of the G20 to tackle global financial systems and improve international funding, as well as sustainable solutions for countries who have financial challenges. How do you see the President's address to the summit today?
This is a comprehensive approach to the problems facing, especially the developing countries. The address by President Fattah Sisi in New Delhi G20 summit was really wonderful, as far as it enumerates and focused on the real issues which are in question regarding the African continent and also for Egypt itself.
Yes.
He addressed the climate change, which is, and its repercussions, and the duties of the industrialized countries of the world to compensate the developing countries for the hardships they are facing as a result of the climate change. Secondly, about the debt problem, because many African countries, including Egypt, of course, have debts, and they need to a space period so that they can at least make a breathing space for them to achieve economic development and pay back the debts. Third, about the climate change, which is really causing many problems, not only to the industrialized countries, but also to the developing countries and Africa in
Yes, indeed. Your Excellency, of course, you raised the issue of climate change and the role that G20 countries have in confronting, the climate change crisis affecting the whole world, as they, of course, the major industrialized countries with the largest percentage of carbon emissions. What steps do you see were discussed today in this regard? How have they discussed funding for developing countries to confront the effects of climate change, the consequences that they bear?
During the climate summit, which was held in Sharm el-Sheikh.
Yes, COP27.
Just a few months ago, less than 1 year ago, maybe 9 months ago, Egypt highlighted the importance of facing the consequences of the climate change, and also what is happening about the ozone and the rainforests and all these things together, because Egypt is suffering from it like all the other African countries, and the industrialized countries have a role to play and have an obligation towards the world and towards the African countries as a result of what they are doing as far as emissions of carbon dioxide in the air, and this is hampering development and even affecting agriculture in some countries, including Egypt. And that is why Egypt highlighted the importance of facing this situation by supporting the African countries, especially African countries, to compensate what losses they are making as far as water is concerned, as far as weather is concerned, and as far as natural resources which are depleted quickly now because of the misuse of them by the industrialized countries.
Absolutely. Now, Your Excellency, the global food crisis has, worsened due to the Russian-Ukrainian war. And as one of the points that was addressed not just by President Sisi but by other leaders, what is the role of the G20 summit in this regard? As I mentioned earlier, it controls a very large percentage of the global economy. What role do you see they can play in the future to resolve such a crisis for other developed nations?
Ensuring the supply of food to other countries, especially the African countries, is of utmost importance not only to Egypt but also to African countries.
Yes.
As a result, to the Ukrainian-Russian war, there were disruption in the channels of distribution, and Egypt has successfully handled this matter. But other African countries are unable to face the situation as regards of the stoppage of the imports of grains from Ukraine or from Russia. So it is an important issue which Egypt tried to tackle in a diplomatic way so that to ensure the smooth flow of food from food surplus countries to other countries which are in much need for not only for the food but also for the economic development in the immediate present, which they are facing a lot. And industrialized countries have a role to play, that is to make it easier for African countries to import its needs of food. Luckily, Egypt has succeeded in supplementing the food shortages, and now it has surplus. But many African countries like Sudan and Somalia and Chad
yes.
and others are facing real problems which are affecting millions of people in these countries.
Indeed. I'd like to thank you very, very much, Your Excellency, Ambassador Ayoub, Mahmoud Ayoub, Minister Plenipotentiary Commercial. Thank you very much, sir, for your time.